Check-in for management for week 9. We're halfway through the semester, fellas and gals and guys and all of you out there. I've had the honor to speak to many of you, and I appreciate your comments, and especially those that actually give me an email or a call, and we get a chance to build a relationship. One of the things about management that I've realized over my own business career and working at the college and running several businesses, the management is leadership to me. And so a couple of the things that hopefully you're getting out of this class, and which is my objective from this side, is to make you think. Last week I gave you a scenario about Joe. Joe is a personal friend of mine, by the way, but he could have been me. I have given a lot of things away for free over time, and I don't regret it, and I'm not trying to make all of you regret anything that you give away for free. That's in the past. It's like water off a duck's back, or it should be. But there are times when we should be compensated for what we have done. And sometimes it's our fault, is all that I'm pointing out. And sometimes all that's necessary is a little clarity between you and the customer. Sometimes the customer doesn't know they're the customer. And, you know, dealing with people in business and having that relationship is so important. My customers, once they were trained, treated me like a king. And I want that for you. So anyway, I know at some of your points in life, it may feel uncomfortable to do some of these things, but if you give an invoice to a fella or a gal that's been in business, experienced life, that's 50, there's a 9 out of 10 chance that they'll look at it and go, oh, I didn't know. There may be, oh, okay. They'll get their checkbook out. They'll call you up and give you their debit card if you take a credit card or debit cards, and it won't be anything to do that. There's a small number of people that might go, well, I thought he was just helping me out. Or maybe I did this for them, and so I just expected them to do something for free for me. Or I'm family. Don't I get things for free? And then maybe if they're one of those and you do something extravagant, by the way, I think that we ought to do things in a gifted type of fashion when it's appropriate and when we can. But at times we give things away and we don't know we're giving them away. But if in the start of that relationship, if expectations and clarity is set, maybe a simple invoice, a written invoice, handed over to them, or like many of you actually pointed out, an estimate at the beginning of the whole thing could clear things up. It could possibly, these kinds of things damage relationships. That's why some families are not talking together, is because they didn't set it up to succeed. And sometimes a couple of steps, an estimate is a great idea in the beginning. Well, I'm going to have to charge you for my services. Okay? If you're too bashful at the beginning to say those kinds of things, one thing I'd say is it gets easier as you go along. You might just try sending them an invoice at the end and say, well, they just paid it. So once you establish that relationship, it gets it out of the way. One of the things that I employed as far as our customers goes, the first year, I looked at what everybody else was doing, and we sold hunts for the most part and summer trips. But it was just kind of how business was done. But there would be a deposit, and then maybe another payment, and then they would bring either cash or cashier's check when we took off. Well, the morning of that we were taking off was just a scramble when we're trying to get everything ready. We want it perfect, and it's really, really an inappropriate time. A time when, when there's, especially if there's any questions about the bill or anything like that, to answer those things. So when I discovered that there was some chaos going there, I just said, we're going to pay for the whole trip ahead of time. And you know what? I got absolutely zero pushback from that. And you know what else? It was such a comfortable relationship that I had with my customers, because from that point on, once I had trained my customers, and a few of them came that next year and they said, here's your check. And it wasn't any big deal. At the trailhead or wherever we started out with. But most of them, especially the new clients that I was generating and that sort of thing, they just said, oh, okay, these are the rules of the game. That makes it easy. I've got to have the check in by 30 days prior to the trip, if that's what your step-by-step thing is. I made it easy for them because I sent out an additional invoice right before it was due, so they can go, oh, that's right, I've got to pay for that. Make it easy for them, so there's not any kind of confusion on that. Anyway, those are some of my insights and experiences that might help you. I really like the fact that you guys thought about the answer to that forum. For any forums, or most of the forums that we're going to have that go on, and I was trying to have it happen like this in the past, but if you would respond to the post so that it's all in one thread. And what I'm trying to get you to do is read what your other classmates throw into the discussion, because they've had different experiences, and you might be able to meld in there and might be able to contribute, and you might learn something from that thread. So if you would, I'm not going to counter it against you if you have to make your own discussion or something like that. I think there's just a little bit of confusion on my part to you. But let's build one thread so everybody can actually read through it. And that's what I have a forum for this week. We're going to go over debt and the use of capital in your business and how you use that debt. It's going to be there. It's possibly, you go from one end of the spectrum to the other. And you might think that, Jones, he's clear over on the left here on this debt thing. There's absolutely no place for debt in a business and in a personal life. And then there's the person over here who uses debt for everything. I do have some biases about all this stuff, okay? I just think I'm not against debt. Debt's not wrong or anything like that. But I think in an ag operation and operations and businesses that we have run in the past, what I've learned is that if you do use it strategically, use it surgically within your business, because it has to be paid back. And you're going to use up resources before and repay it from earnings later. And when you've got prices moving up and down in the ag world, it can kind of get you in a tight spot in a hurry. And you've got other factors like disease possibly, and weather, and other things that come up all of a sudden, lots of those, well, we described them in a personal finance way, but emergencies happen in our businesses. So using up all of your credit early on may not allow you to use it if it is actually needs to be employed later on within the structure of the business. So that's just my advice on using debt in a business. I've used it throughout my business life and actually have a little bit of a debt right at this point, but I just have learned to use it very strategically and surgically within the realm of a business that takes on a lot of risk already. You're taking on another level of risk when you actually take on something you have to repay later. So anyway, I'm really interested. Actually, the forum is going to be your quiz for this week. It's worth up to 50 points. And I want you to elaborate on it. I want a couple paragraphs. And I mean, if you're on this end that there's no way agriculture is so overcapitalized and there's no way young farmers can get in with a lot of debt, I might come back at you. Okay, just be ready to defend yourself a little bit. There may be other ways to do business without debt that I want you to consider in all this process. And there is, actually. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying we all bring some biases to all this, the structure of running a business. And your job as a manager of this business, and many of you just will describe it as a lifestyle, is that it's different than any other business. I would counter that and just say, if you're not running it like a business, then you won't have that lifestyle that you that you so want. And so anyway, not to belabor the point, I've really enjoyed all of you in this class, and if you have a chance, drop me a line, give me a call. I always enjoy. Jeremy this week or this last week called me, and we weren't talking, most of the conversation wasn't even about this class. I mean, he had a few details that he wanted to clear up about it, and then we went on, we were talking about different business ventures and possibilities and that sort of thing, and I always like to bounce things off of people, and we're considering some new business opportunities all the time, and looking at things. Not that I'll actually activate those, but I'm interested, and I'm interested in what you're doing. At this point in my life, I mean, I love to see people actually growing, learning, and doing well in their business. And that's the reason that I'm here. So give me a call, and we'll cuss and discuss, and I'll drink a cup of coffee on this side. If you're an on-campus student, you're always welcome in my office or anywhere I'm around campus too. So take care. Have a great spring break. If you're on campus, if you're off campus, you don't know what I'm talking about. Your grades will come out this coming week, and that sort of thing. I always encourage students to check their grades. I post them on here. If you have any questions on any of that, that would be fair game as well. So take care and have a good week.